Hey everyone, welcome to the Rum Revival. It's Arminder here, and today I want to talk about this new rum release right here. This is Bristol Classic Rum's Jamaica, Trewlawney County. Now, Bristol is an independent bottler out of the UK, and they've been sourcing and releasing rums since the 90s. And honestly, kind of looking at this bottle, it feels like a bit of a throwback. Just kind of visually, it kind of feels like it's kind of 90s to it. You know, there's a label that's pretty simple, straightforward, though there is like a stately look to it, to both the label and the tube that it came in. And the green has like this kind of certain kind of green to it that feels very 90s to me, I guess. And then of course, which you can't probably see here, but the ABV is 47.5% ABV, which is a thing that Bristol tends to do with their releases. They tend to proof them down to under 50%, usually between 43 to 47%. Now, given all that, there's just something that maybe feels maybe not altogether modern about this rum. So in a way, it might be easy to dismiss it, but I gotta tell you, there's a hell of a lot more going on here than meets the eye. Now let's quickly talk about the stats on this rum. As I mentioned, it's 47.5% ABV. It was distilled in 2009 and bottled in 2021, making it a 12-year-old rum. It actually doesn't say it on the front, but it does say it on the back, or I guess you could do the math of the 2009 from the 2021, but it's 12 years. Now, based on Bristol's website, there's like a PDF you can download. I think this was aged initially 5 years in Jamaica and then the rest of the time in the UK. And in terms of price, I paid, I think, around $160. Now, in terms of who made the rum, this is indeed a Hampden rum. Now, because it's a Hampden rum, we know a couple things. We know it's molasses-based, wild fermented, distilled on a double retort pot still. Now, if you know a thing or two about Hampden, you might of course be asking, well, what mark or blend of marks is this rum? Well, actually, you're probably not asking that since you've already seen the thumbnail to this video, and therefore you know it's the one and only DOK. Now, what is DOK and why is it a big damn deal? Well, DOK is the highest ester mark that Hampden Estate makes. If you're not familiar, esters are one of the organic compounds that are created during the production process, and they contribute to the rum's flavor and aroma. Now, DOK's ester count is between 1,500 to 1,600 grams per hectoliter of pure alcohol. That might seem like a lot of craziness, but all it really means is that if you were to take the water out of the rum and you just had the alcohol and you had a full hectoliter of that pure alcohol, then you would find between 1,500 to 1,600 grams within that full hectoliter of ethyl acetate, which is the most common ester present in rum. And 1,600 grams is in fact the legal limit that a Jamaican distillery can produce in a rum. So that is it, right? So DOK is as high ester as you can get, at least for Jamaican rums. And these kind of high ester Jamaican rums have so much flavor and so much intensity that a little bit of it goes a very long way. In fact, I don't know if they were necessarily even designed to be kind of consumed straight. Because of their kind of intensity, they were historically used in baking, in perfumes, and for spiking neutral spirits to kind of actually give them some flavor. Now, regardless of that, or maybe because of that, for many people there's a very big appeal or draw to the fact that DOK is the most, the max, like the limit, you know? And for the folks that are always out there searching for a bold, flavorful rum experience, well, then you can kind of see the appeal then, right? But that's DOK in principle and on paper. But how exactly does it do when it's proofed down to 47.5% ABV? Well, let's find out. You know, I've been letting this sit off to the side while I've been recording, and the whole time I've been able to kind of smell the rum from there, even at 47.5% ABV. So for me, it's kind of two very clear and obvious notes, the most dominant being a sweet pineapple note, but there's also like a touch of cough syrup, not like a ton of it, but you know, it's there. And the other really kind of interesting note, which I didn't get right away, it's only when I started letting the rum sit as I was drinking it and going back to smelling it over the course of 15-20 minutes, I'd pick up this little bit of note here, which I'm getting here now as well, is of ketchup. Not just like ketchup, like maybe ketchup packets, like the plastic packet of ketchup. So you get a little bit of the tomato, you get a little of that plastic note. And that is a note that I oftentimes will get in certain Grand Aromas, which are also high ester rums, specifically from Martinique. And those have tons of like ketchup to them, ketchup packets specifically. This just has a faint essence of it. But altogether, a really nice, attractive aroma, a very alluring aroma, a very appealing aroma. Love that. Ooh. Okay, so I had, when I do these videos, I try the rum a lot. As you can see, I have tried it a lot, although not all of it neat, which I'll get to a little later. But over multiple sittings, I'll write a bunch of tasting notes so that I can then share them with you in this video. I'm actually not going to do that, or rather, I'm going to not do that right away. In fact, what I want to do instead is I want to visualize the experience of what I'm tasting in my mouth to you through drawing it with crayons. A little yellow crayon and hopefully a black crayon here. Well, it turns out I don't have a black crayon in here, so I'm going to use a black pen, but bear with me here. I kind of feel like Mr. Rogers or something. Okay, so here is what I have. This illustration represents what I've tasted, and this might seem like it is the drawings of a madman, and well, you'd probably be right, but I think it does a decent job of representing kind of what I experienced on the palate. So there's a slash of yellow across, and then this slash of black kind of in the middle. Now, that yellow represents both up front, which I experienced right away, and then on the back end, on the finish, this kind of neon, candied, pineapple Jolly Rancher note that is so vivid and so bright and so juicy and so lovely. Like I love it. It's delightful. It's frankly amazing. It's very kind of, it's like more than just bright and vivid. It's very kind of four-dimensional, which doesn't mean anything, I know, but it's kind of what I came up with. Doesn't look four-dimensional here. It's obviously 2 dimensions, but it's just this really lovely, enjoyable flavor that you get right away, and then you get on the back end, and it definitely stays with you. Now, here's the thing, though. Of course, you're probably interested in this black slash. Now, like I said, I only had a pen. I was hoping to actually use a Sharpie because this black little thing in the middle sort of tastes like a Sharpie, kind of tastes like a marker. This industrial note, this kind of dry, bitter, sour, tart, acrid kind of slash that happens in the middle, and it's pretty intense. Now, here's the thing. I do not like that note at all. At all. It's not enjoyable to me at all. I dislike that note as much as I really love the yellow pineapple note, if that makes sense. So in a way, I'm a little kind of at a loss for words. That's why I'm using this picture, I guess. At a loss for words to tell you whether I love or hate the rum, because there are parts that I really, really, really like, and there are parts that I really, really, really hate. But I can't really separate the two from one another because they are part of the whole experience, right? And part of me was thinking, well, maybe I really love that yellow pineapple Jolly Rancher thing, and it feels so vivid and four-dimensional because of the fact that midway through I get this sharp pen marker, Sharpie, industrial, dry, bitter thing that happens. And because of its intensity and how much I don't like it, it kind of elevates the yellow pineapple Jolly Rancher before and after it. Like it kind of makes them that much more appealing and these kind of flavor oases, I guess, in a way, you know? I will say this, when I first tried this rum, I was like, oh my God, this is bad, because I was so fixated on that sharp marker note and that kind of big, funky, high ester kind of thing going on, and it was so challenging for me. And if I had just had one pour, like at a bar or at a rum fest, I would have said to myself, oh, I don't like this rum at all, never trying it again, that's it. I have made my opinion kind of on it and moving on, right? But as you can see here, I worked my way through the bottle, had a lot of it, neat, and I've come to like it a hell of a lot more than when I started. And now I am willing to sometimes take that sharp, intense marker note with the lovely Jolly Rancher pineapple note, right? So while this might not be something I reach for all the time, I really do appreciate the thought that went into proofing it down to that 47.5% ABV. To me, this is where DOK is the most drinkable. I've actually added a little bit of water, I put it on ice, and it doesn't really work at all, proof down further. And I've had it at higher proofs, both in the Hampden 8 Mark set. There's an unaged version at 60%, I believe, and a 1-year aged version at 52%. Did not care for those. In fact, that might have been my least favorite mark in those two sets. And I've had a cask strength, single cask, 5-year DOK, like a pour or two. Didn't like it there either, but there's just something of this sweet spot at 47.5% ABV where I think it's the best version of it. Now that version of it, though, ultimately may or may not be for you, like just in general, you just might not be someone who's into DOK, which is kind of where I'm kind of finding myself. But I can still acknowledge that for the people who like these kind of rums, this will probably be your jam. It'll be your very kind of sippable, drinkable, crushable jam, if you will. Your pineapple jam. That's dumb. Don't include that, editor Arminder. So even though I am kind of struggling to decide whether I love it, I hate it, or am somewhere in between, I do appreciate that this is a rum that kind of holds some sort of appeal to me because I'm not able to pin it down. I'm not exactly able to pin my opinion down on it, and I kind of like that. That it's challenging me. There's a lure to it, but there's a bit of a turn off, and it's this push pull. Now maybe when you're watching a review on YouTube, you want maybe a little bit more of a definitive of an answer. Sorry, I can't really give it to you, but I will say this, maybe that ultimately maybe the whole super high ester Jamaican thing personally maybe is not for me, so maybe this isn't really my kind of rum, and so therefore that's okay. That's just not my thing, but it might be for you, right? If you do like super high ester rums, yeah, then I think of course you're gonna like this, right? But I will say, if you do like those kind of rums and you looked at this and you thought, 47.5% ABV, that's weak, I'm not gonna buy that, reconsider. It's really drinkable. It's really sippable, crushable. As you can see here, I drank a lot of it. And even though you're used to like burning your tongue and the inner lining of your esophagus, you might find that this might be more your jam because of the lower proof. It's still plenty flavorful, bold, and in your face. But I think you'll find that you might end up going through the bottle a hell of a lot faster than if it was cask strength. And I will point out, I drank a lot of it, but as I said, it wasn't all just sipping neat. Tried it with water, tried it with ice, but I actually, once I realized maybe the sipping thing wasn't for me, I tried it in a crap ton of Mai Tais, and I love it in a Mai Tai. Amazing. All the ingredients, the dilution brings that kind of black marker note, that pen note to a point where it kind of blends in with everything, and the pineapple is just so bright and vivid and electric in that Mai Tai. Phenomenal. Of course, way too expensive to be making Mai Tais with all the time. Though maybe for me, that's kind of how I will put the rest of this bottle to use, personally. Though I might try another sip here or there. And I will say, if you've never tried DOK before, and you have the opportunity to try this at a bar, and let's say you have the ability to try a bunch of other DOKs, go with this one. I think this will be the more beginner-friendly DOK experience. So there's that. So that is my ultimate thought and opinions on this rum and DOK, and I hope you enjoyed Arts and Crafts today. And and let me know, have you had DOK, whether it's this particular release or some of the other releases, and what are your thoughts? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in the middle? Are you a fiend for it and you'd love to get your hands on every single DOK release? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you want to support this channel, then check out my Patreon page where I have a bunch of exclusive content and you can check out there. And if you sign up for one of the paid tiers, you get access to the Rum Revival Discord server where you get to chat with other rum lovers about rum. It's a really fun community. And that's it for me. I'm going to go draw more things with my crayons. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you all next time. Cheers.